So guys, it is Thursday, a little after 3 in the afternoon, and I'm kind of just going through some things to get prepared for tomorrow and wrap up the week. Got some client showings on a listing that I have tomorrow, but I did just close out a commercial lease for a client of mine, so kind of wanted to talk about that process. It is similar in respect to how real estate agents are paid to residential leases. So the seller or the owner pays the residential lease through the listing agent. So it is a free service to someone that's looking for a space for their business, just the same as residential leases or if you're buying a property. So that works the same in that respect. This specific client, they had a certain size that they needed to help with their growing team. They're intending to hire some new employees later this year, and they've grown out of the existing space. So they needed to increase their space, but within reason. So we had a space requirement, we had a budget requirement, which is typically the case. We had a location requirement, and then there was a requirement needed for like conference room access or training room access. They needed some kind of break room. And we were able to find all of that in one building, which was very exciting for me. That's always my goal with my clients. So when we find the perfect thing for the perfect price and we check all the boxes, it makes me very happy. We ended up in a building off of 290 in the Beltway. It's a mid-rise building, great location, highly centralized. That was important to my client to have for their new hires, to be in a central location. We ended up signing a 5-year lease. And when you sign a 5-year lease, typically you get more favorable pricing. And how that's calculated is they take the square footage and they multiply that by an annual rental rate, and you multiply that by the square footage, and then you divide it by 12, and that's what you get for your rent. Now, most buildings on top of that will have additional operating expenses or building expenses. There's different terms. There's triple net, there's CPI. And what that does is at the end of the year, they project what the building expenses are going to be. It can be insurance, it can be taxes. There's a variety of things. So that's something you always want to get clarification on when you're looking into residential leases, and what those fees, annual fees, if there's a one-time fee, there's all these things. It just depends on the type of property that it is. But this specific one was really pleasant. I'm glad my client ended up going where they went. It actually was their favorite building out of the ones that we saw. Our process, it took about 3 months to find what they were looking for, but we found it, and that's always worth it, right? When we stick with it and keep going. In the nick of time too, because their lease expires at the end of this month. There is a little bit of a wait time because current tenant needed to move out. There was someone in there that was moving into a larger space. So they do replace the carpet and paint and get it up to par for the next tenant. Usually at no additional cost. If you're building out or you're adding anything to the space or knocking down walls or whatever, then that typically gets built into the rent. And then you pay that throughout the term of the lease. So usually you're going to see like a $50 incremental change in the rent from year to year. Again, we signed a 5-year lease. So, it started at X amount in year one, and then it goes up from there each year after that. A couple things that were really nice about where we ended up at, it's managed by Boxer Properties. They're very transparent with their fees. They're very easy to work with. They manage their buildings very well. They included it's not included, but it's capped. The electricity is capped. Wi-Fi is included on their shared workspace floors. So they go in and they renovate these buildings, and some of these buildings have shared workspace floors to accommodate businesses that maybe just need a small space. They just have, one person working out of there, something like that. But they have like a really nice lounge and coffee bar and a place and a refrigerator and a place for people to have lunch. So the space that we got into, it doesn't have a break room, but that lounge space is immediately just on the other side of the wall. So that fit the need for my client. So again, all of the amenities on that shared space, that's the floor that my client is on. The Wi-Fi is included. If they need to bump up, the coverage on the Wi-Fi, then they can do that at an incremental cost. It's not very expensive. So again, their fees are very easy. They don't have and this building is a CPI, they don't have any extra expenses because they're on this shared workspace. So everything just really worked out really well. I'm really happy with how this transaction ended, and I think my client is too. So with that being said, I'm thinking I'm going to start kind of doing these and recapping certain deals that I'm working on. My next one that I'm really excited about it's another commercial deal. Again, I do both residential and commercial. I pretty much go where my clients go, and I like to keep my the type of transactions that I do open, because real estate is so vast. There's so much to learn. You can never know everything. So I try to keep myself open to both so that I do learn and I can better serve my clients, because some of my clients own homes, but they also own businesses. So it's a great opportunity to be able to represent them on both of those sides. So next week, I think I'll talk about another commercial client that's looking for land to build an event venue. So this is going to be an interesting one, because we have to think about commercial costs versus like buying a piece of land that is unimproved and can be used as residential or commercial. Typically commercial you're going to find in along your highways, and they're very expensive. For an acre you're not going to see less than like $1 million. So we have to get very creative. Luckily they're looking like the Sugar Land, Richmond, Katy area, so it's definitely doable for the budget that I think they're going to be in. So stay tuned. I'll continue to connect with you guys. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I have a pretty good network of preferred contacts, whether that be a contractor or a lender. I have some great contacts that I can send your way. If you have any questions about anything, please don't hesitate to shoot me a text or give me a call. My contact information can be found in my Instagram profile. Thanks so much. Have a great day.